What if the love of your life doesn't speak your language, live your life, or understand your world, but somehow, still understands your soul? That was the question that echoed in Kim Tan's mind that night. And the strange thing was, he didn't even believe in love. Not the kind that poets wrote about. Not the kind his mother arranged through expensive matchmaking agencies. Not the kind his friends pretended to enjoy while clinking glasses at rooftop lounges in Gangnam. He had tried. God knows, he had tried. Date after date. Smile after fake smile. Rich girls with perfect faces and soulless eyes. Every one of them came dressed in luxury but lacking substance. They were polished, pristine, well-educated, and thoroughly trained in the art of impressing a chaebol heir. But not one of them had ever made his heart pause. Until the night it rained. And he walked into Sura Cafe. It was a Thursday evening. Late April. The skies over Seoul had opened in sudden fury, lashing the pavements with a cold, piercing rain. The kind of rain that silenced even the traffic and made people run, not walk. Kim Tan didn't run. He walked slowly, his umbrella forgotten in the boot of his car, his coat soaking through. He didn't care. Anything to escape the suffocating hotel ballroom where his blind date had just tried to impress him with her father's political connections. He needed coffee. Real coffee. And silence. He turned into a quiet street near Sinsadong and saw the golden lights of Sura Cafe glowing through the downpour. It looked like something out of a Studio Ghibli film, soft, warm, and completely untouched by the cold corporate world he came from. He pushed the glass door open. A bell chimed softly. Warm air and the scent of roasted beans hit him at once. It felt like walking into someone's home. No marble floors, no chandelier, no unnecessary elegance. Just the earthy smell of ginger tea, a piano instrumental humming through the speakers, and a handful of tables bathed in amber light. And then, she stood behind the counter, wiping a ceramic mug with a blue apron wrapped around her waist. Her skin was a rich, glowing brown, a shade he had never seen up close. Her hair was tucked into a low bun, and she had a small beauty mark just beneath her left eye. She looked up, caught his gaze for a moment, and nodded. Not bowed. Nodded. "Welcome," she said, her accent unmistakably foreign, but her Korean fluent. "You look like the rain almost swallowed you." Her voice was warm, calm, slightly teasing. For some reason, Kim Tan didn't respond immediately. He simply stood there, dripping onto the wooden floor, his heart doing something it hadn't done in years, fluttering. He cleared his throat and walked over to the counter. "One Americano." "Hot," he said. She looked him over. "Coming right up, sir." As she turned to prepare the coffee, he watched her. There was something unusual about her. She didn't move like the waitresses in the other cafes he frequented. She wasn't trying to impress him, wasn't smiling too hard or speaking in that overly sweet tone that many women used around men like him. She moved with purpose. Quiet confidence. Like she knew who she was. "Rough night?" she asked without turning. Kim Tan hesitated. "You could say that." "Blind date?" He blinked. "Excuse me?" She turned then, placing the steaming cup in front of him with a smirk. "You've got that look. Expensive shoes. Designer wristwatch. Mood darker than your coffee. Definitely a blind date gone wrong." He stared at her, stunned. "I'm Lizzie, by the way," she added. "Not that you asked." There was no flirtation in her tone. Just brutal honesty, lightly served. "Kim Tan," he replied, awkwardly reaching for his wallet. She shook her head. "First one's on the house. You look like you need it more than I need 4,500 Korean ones." He couldn't help it, he laughed. A real laugh. Small, short, but real. "And rare. You always give free drinks to strangers who look sad?" he asked. "Only the ones who look like they don't know what they're doing with their lives." The words hit too close to home. He sat down at a table in the far corner, facing the window. Outside, the rain continued, soft now, like a lullaby. He sipped the coffee. It was perfect. For the next hour, he sat there in silence, occasionally stealing glances at her as she moved between tables, served customers, chatted with the kitchen staff. She wasn't the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. But she was present, alive, real. And for a man like Kim Tan, who lived in a world of rehearsed smiles and boardroom lies. Real was rarer than gold. He left without another word that night, but the taste of the coffee, and her voice, lingered long after he returned to his penthouse. The next night, he came back. And the next. And the next after that. He never told her who he really was. And she never asked. They say a man doesn't return to the same place unless he left something behind. But Kim Tan hadn't left anything at Sura Cafe, not his wallet, not his phone, not his umbrella. What he had left behind was peace. And a face. Her face. 3 days had passed since that rainy evening, but the memory of Lizzie Daniel refused to fade. It followed him into his dreams. Into the boardroom. Into the very scent of the coffee he tried to replicate in his private office with machines far too expensive to fail. But they all did. None of it tasted like hers. So, on the 4th night, just after sunset, he returned. No rain this time. No umbrella. Just his beating heart and a mind trying to act casual. The bell chimed again as he stepped in. She was at the counter, same apron, same bun, same radiant skin. Only this time, she looked up and smiled. Not the professional, forced kind. A real one. Quick, simple. But it made something in his chest crack open. "You came back," she said without surprise. "Yeah," Kim Tan replied, shifting awkwardly. "I figured I owed you 4,501. Technically you owe me a tip too, Mr. Kim Tan. Who didn't he ask my name?" she teased, reaching for a mug. "Same order?" He nodded, trying not to smile. "Same seat." As he walked to the corner table, Lizzie turned toward the espresso machine, biting back a grin. He came back. She wasn't blind. She had noticed everything the first night. The way his suit looked tailored in a way that screamed old money, the Rolex peeking from under his cuff, the polished yet lonely air about him. He wasn't ordinary. And still, he hadn't told her who he was. And that, strangely, earned her respect. She brought over his Americano, set it down, and lingered this time. "So, what do you actually do, Kim Tan?" she asked. He paused. This was the moment to lie, or tell a version of the truth that didn't carry weight. "I work in business." She raised a brow. "Business? That's vague enough to sound suspicious." "Well," he smirked, "what do you do?" "I serve overpriced coffee to people who pretend they're not lonely." Her honesty stunned him. "Touché," he said softly. She leaned on the edge of the table, her arms crossed, unbothered by hierarchy or class. "I've seen your type before," she said, eyes narrowing playfully. Cold exterior. Tired eyes. Resting rich face. "But something's off." "Off," he echoed. "You're not trying to impress me. Or anyone here." "Why?" Kim Tan didn't know how to answer that. He looked down at the coffee. Then at her. "Maybe because I'm tired of people trying to impress me." There it was. The truth, dropped like a stone between them. And for a moment, the cafe felt quieter than usual. Lizzie straightened. "Fair enough." She walked away. Later that evening, as she restocked the pastry shelf, her colleague, Sun Hee, leaned close. "That guy. The one in the suit," Sun Hee whispered. "He's been here 3 nights now." Lizzie nodded. "You know who he is?" Lizzie looked at her, surprised. "What do you mean?" Sun Hee pulled out her phone and quickly typed something. She turned the screen toward her. A headline from a business blog. "Kim Tan, the ghost heir of Daesang Group returns to Seoul." Photo, a slightly younger version of him standing beside the towering figure of chairwoman Kim Jisoo. Lizzie froze. "That's him?" she asked. "Yeah. Quiet, super rich, and rumored to be refusing all marriage arrangements. People call him the Chaebol rebel. His mother basically owns half of Gangnam." Lizzie looked across the cafe. Kim Tan was seated at the far end, typing on his phone, a calm expression on his face, as if unaware of the weight of his legacy. Her heart thudded, not in fear, but in disbelief. He hadn't told her. Not once. Why? After closing, Lizzie stepped outside, wrapping her scarf tight around her neck. Seoul's wind could be cruel in spring. To her surprise, Kim Tan was leaning on the rail just beside the alleyway, sipping what remained of his coffee. "You waited?" she asked. "I was hoping to walk you home," he replied without hesitation. She hesitated. "I can manage." "I know," he said. But I wanted to. If you'll let me. They walked in silence for a few blocks, the streets lined with cherry blossom petals caught in the wind. It was beautiful, but Lizzie could feel something brewing behind her eyes. Finally, she stopped walking. "Why didn't you tell me who you were?" she asked, voice calm but firm. He turned to face her. "Because I didn't want you to treat me like everyone else does." "And how do people treat you?" "Like I'm an empire, not a man." The words struck her deep, because she knew what it felt like to be seen as something you're not. They stood like that for a moment, under a flickering streetlight, two strangers tethered by a thread neither of them could define. "I don't care about Daesang Group," she said quietly, "but I care about honesty. And you have it," he said. "From now on. Ask me anything." "Okay," she said. "Do you always walk random girls home after coffee?" He laughed softly. "Only the ones who say things like resting rich face." And just like that, something began. Not loudly, not all at once, but quietly, like rain returning to the earth it missed. The next morning, Seoul glistened with early sunlight, but Liz's world was already unsteady. She barely slept. Not because she was afraid, no. It was because Kim Tan had shifted something inside her. And now she knew the truth. He wasn't just any customer. He was the Kim Tan, first son of Daesang Group, heir to an empire that sat at the pinnacle of Korean commerce, politics, and power. The tabloids called him the Ghost Prince, because he stayed out of sight, avoided media, and turned down every corporate engagement his mother pushed at him. And yet, he showed up for her. Her phone buzzed with a text. "Kim Tan. There's this bubble tea place in Sinchon I like. 3 p.m. meet me? No aprons allowed." She stared at the message, thumb hovering over the screen. This was risky, wild, borderline foolish. And yet, Lizzie. Only if you don't wear that funeral suit again. Sinchon was buzzing with university students and street performers when she arrived. No apron. No name tag. Just Lizzie in jeans, a hoodie, and sneakers. Normal, anonymous, free. She spotted him by the brick wall of the cafe. But it wasn't the usual Kim Tan. He wore a dark denim jacket, white tee, black trousers, and sneakers that looked far too new to be real. His hair was slightly tousled. And he was smiling. "You actually came," he said, visibly relieved. "I said no suits," she replied, folding her arms. "You listened. Just this once," he teased. They walked inside. No bodyguards. No assistants. Just two people in a bubble tea shop trying to act like the world outside didn't exist. He ordered taro with extra pearls. She got brown sugar milk tea. "So," he began, sitting across from her in the corner booth, "I figured if you're not impressed by wealth or titles, I should try bribing you with sugar." "Smart strategy," she said. "I like bribes." Noted. A silence settled, but not the awkward kind. It was curious, slow, magnetic. Lizzie leaned in. "Tell me something nobody else knows about you." He blinked. "That's bold." "I'm not a shy woman, Mr. Ghost Prince." Kim Tan chuckled, then looked down. "I wanted to be a writer. Before all this. Before Daesang swallowed my name." She blinked. "A writer?" He nodded. "Poems, mostly. Stories about strangers. I kept a journal. My mother found it once and burned it." Liz's heart squeezed. "Why?" She said, "People like us don't waste words, we buy them." The bitterness in his voice cut through the sweetness of the drink. "I'm sorry," Lizzie said softly. He met her eyes. "Your turn. Tell me something true." She hesitated. Then, "I haven't spoken to my father in 7 years." That silenced him. He was the only family I had in Nigeria. He sent me here to study, then disappeared. No calls. No letters. Just gone. Kim Tan looked at her differently then. Not with pity, but recognition. Loss. Abandonment. Loneliness. They were fluent in the same language. "I'm sorry," he said gently. She smiled, thinly. "We're just two broken teacups, huh?" "Maybe," he replied. "But I'd rather be cracked and real than flawless and fake." Outside, they wandered through the alleyways of Sinchon, past neon signs and fried chicken stalls. He stopped at a claw machine and pointed. You any good? She raised a brow. I'm a beast at this. Minutes later, she'd won a tiny pink bear. She handed it to him. Proof that money can't buy talent. He held it like it was priceless. You're dangerous, he said suddenly. Why? Because you make me forget who I'm supposed to be. But elsewhere in Seoul, someone wasn't forgetting anything. Inside the marble halls of Daesang Tower, Chairwoman Kim Jisoo was holding court. Her secretary handed her a photograph. A CCTV still. Kim Tan. Outside a cafe. Smiling beside a dark-skinned girl in an apron. Her jaw tightened. Find out who she is, she ordered. And get her out of my son's orbit. That night, Lizzie returned to her small studio apartment. A humid breeze drifted through the open window, carrying the smell of grilled meat from downstairs. She sat on her mattress, stared at the pink bear beside her phone, and whispered, "What are you getting yourself into, Lizzie?" But her heart already knew the answer. She was falling. Fast. And hard. What happens when power feels threatened? It doesn't whisper. It roars, quietly, efficiently, behind closed doors where the real wars are fought. Not with fists, but with names, connections, and silence as sharp as a dagger. Inside a room high above the Seoul skyline, a woman stood by the tall windows, unmoving, statuesque, her hands clasped behind her back. The city blinked below her, small, insignificant, unaware. Chairwoman Kim Jisoo had never liked surprises. And certainly not this kind. The young woman on her desk screen didn't belong. Her skin was too dark, her name too foreign, and her profession, laughable. A waitress? With her son? Unacceptable. Lizzie Thompson, she murmured, each syllable sharp as glass. She turned away from the window and sat down, steepling her fingers. Her secretary, Mr. Choi, cleared his throat gently. She's not connected to any powerful families. Nigerian nationality. Working part-time while attending university. Nothing suspicious in her file. Just ordinary. Chairwoman Kim's eyes didn't blink. Ordinary is the most dangerous kind, she said coldly. They have nothing to lose. Meanwhile, Lizzie was in a library, not because she wanted to study, but because she needed air away from herself. Kim Tan's presence still echoed through her thoughts like perfume on borrowed clothing. Too much. Too soon. Can I sit here? His voice broke her thoughts. She blinked up. Kim Tan stood there, grinning like a boy who knew he shouldn't be here, but came anyway. How did you find me? She asked, half laughing. He sat without permission. I called the cafe. They said you weren't working. So, I guessed you were either at home or here. You're stalking me. Is it stalking if I bring snacks? He placed a packet of shrimp crisps and a bottle of banana milk on the desk. She tried to scowl. Failed. Banana milk, she said. What am I, 6? He leaned closer. It's retro. Like cassette tapes and your sarcasm. She giggled. Loud enough to earn a dirty look from the librarian. They leaned in, heads bowed over her textbook. But they weren't reading. Why do you keep coming back? She whispered. He didn't answer immediately. Then, softly, because with you, I don't feel like a name. Or a number. Or a shadow. She looked at him, eyes trembling. You barely know me. But I see you. And that was the scariest part. Later that night, at Daesang Mansion, Chairwoman Kim placed a single envelope on Kim Tan's desk. He picked it up and opened it. Inside was a glossy photo of Lizzie, taken from a distance. Her smile. Her skin. Her existence. Is this supposed to scare me? He asked, jaw tightening. She's not one of us, his mother replied, voice cool. She doesn't belong. And who does, mother? People like you who wear diamonds like war medals and break lives with a phone call? Her eyes flared. You will end this, Tan. Or I will. He laughed bitterly. You don't control my heart. I control your future, she snapped. And everything you stand to inherit. Meanwhile, Lizzie stared at her phone in the dark. No messages. No calls. Just a strange silence that tasted like fear. Somewhere deep inside her, a whisper stirred. This is too good to be safe. And she was right. Because outside her apartment building, a black car waited. Engine off. Lights dim. Watching. And the man in the driver's seat had one job: find the cracks, break the girl, without a trace. How much do you think love is worth when it threatens legacy? That question wasn't asked aloud, but it hovered, unseen, heavy, in the halls of the Kim family estate, in the silence between mother and son, in the long shadows cast by wealth and duty. And yet, two hearts were still playing a game they didn't know had already begun. It started with absence. Kim Tan stopped coming to the cafe. 2 days. Then 5. Then a week. Lizzie tried to brush it off. Customers came and went. Some disappeared. But Tan hadn't just been a customer. He was a presence, a disruption, a flicker of something unspoken. And now, he was gone. She tried calling once. No response. She texted. Just once. Hey, just checking in. Hope everything's all right. No reply. She didn't try again. Instead, she poured herself into work, serving orders with a forced smile and burying her thoughts beneath trays of kimchi stew and frothy dalgona lattes. But her fingers trembled whenever she passed the corner seat he used to sit in, where he first called her sunshine in an apron. The cafe felt colder now. Or maybe she was just lonelier than she'd admit. In a boardroom 32 floors above the city, Kim Tan sat stiffly beside his mother, dressed in a charcoal suit he hated and a mask he had learned to wear since childhood. They were meeting the daughter of a shipping magnate. Pretty, polished, perfect, and boring. She smiled at him with expectation. He returned a tight smile in kind. She studied in Switzerland, his mother whispered. I don't care if she built Switzerland, he muttered under his breath. The dinner dragged like a funeral without a body. His mind wasn't there. It was in Sura Cafe. With Lizzie. The way she tucked her braids behind her ears when flustered. The way she called him sir when annoyed. The way she always looked like the sky before rain. Soft, honest, unpredictable. Meanwhile, Lizzie found a white envelope taped to her apartment door. No name. Just a warning. Inside was a single photo, her and Kim Tan laughing in the library. And beneath it, in ink sharp as a blade. You don't belong here. Walk away. Or you'll be dragged. Her hands shook. She checked the hallway, empty. Ran down the stairs, no one. But someone had been watching. She dialed her mother with trembling fingers. Mum, someone left something at my door. What is it? Mrs. Daniel asked, panic rising. A threat. There was silence on the line. Then her mother said, steady and slow. Come home. Just tonight. Please. At the Daesang estate, Tan argued with his mother behind closed doors. You threatened her. I protected you. By spying on her. You're not a boy anymore. You're Daesang's heir. This isn't a high school romance, it's a dynasty. Tan's jaw clenched. Then I don't want it. You'll throw away everything for a girl who serves tables. He stepped closer. That girl has more soul than this entire house. Her voice dropped to a hiss. Then let her keep her soul. While you lose your birthright. Lizzie arrived at her mother's flat in tears. Mrs. Daniel held her tight, rocking her gently like she did when Lizzie scraped her knees at age 6. You don't have to be brave all the time, her mother whispered. But you do have to be smart. Some storms aren't worth walking into. Lizzie wanted to argue. But even her heart couldn't find words strong enough to fight back. Later that night, her phone buzzed. Kim Tan. She stared at the screen. Then answered. His voice was raw. I'm sorry I disappeared. Her voice cracked. You broke me. I was protecting you. No, she whispered. You were protecting yourself from me. A pause. Then, slowly, can I see you? Silence. Then, tomorrow. One time. One truth. She hung up before he could answer. And so, the game changed. No longer about coffee and rain, but about truths. And what they're worth when love becomes dangerous. If you had one chance to tell the truth, just once, would you dare speak it, knowing it could break everything? The question wasn't rhetorical. It was the weight both of them carried, as they stood face to face again, after days that felt like years. They met at the edge of Namsan Park. A place neither belonged to, but both could pretend in. The autumn air had thinned into something cold and expectant. The city glittered below, indifferent to two hearts trying to make sense of silence. Lizzie stood by the railing, bundled in a simple grey coat, hands deep in her pockets. She looked different, harder, quieter. Her eyes didn't light up when they saw him. Kim Tan walked toward her with the hesitation of a man who knew he might already be too late. "Hi," he said. She didn't answer. "I'm sorry," he added. "I didn't come for apologies," she replied, her voice low. "I came for the truth." He nodded. "I'll give you mine if you give me yours." For a long moment, the world stilled. Then she said, "You first." He exhaled. "My name is Kim Tan. I'm the only son of Daesang Group's chairman. The same Daesang Group that bulldozed your uncle's neighborhood last year. I've lied to you. Not in words, but by hiding who I am." A beat passed. Lizzie didn't flinch. She simply looked at him, like she'd expected it. Maybe she had. He continued. "I didn't come to the cafe by accident. I was supposed to meet someone at that hotel next door. A blind date. I walked out because I hated everything it stood for. Then I saw you. And something in me broke open." He looked down, ashamed. "I never meant to pull you into my world. But I was selfish. I wanted something that felt real. And you were real." Still, she said nothing. So he asked, "Your turn?" Lizzie took a deep breath. "My name is Lizzie Daniel. I came to Korea to help my mother pay for a surgery that never happened. I work 3 jobs. I send money home to Nigeria every month. I haven't seen my siblings in 4 years. And I've learned to smile even when I'm breaking." She turned to face him fully. "And yes, I liked you. A lot. But I also knew something didn't add up. You were too polished. Too carefully ruined. That stung." She continued. "You think I didn't notice the watch on your wrist? The driver who once waited across the street. The way you speak Korean, like someone who's never needed to ask for anything." He swallowed hard. "Then why didn't you say anything?" "Because I wanted to pretend too." Silence. Then she said the hardest thing. "I don't hate you, Tan. But I hate what you come with. The threats. The whispers. The danger. That photo, the message. I live in a world where people like me don't survive scandals. We get erased." He stepped closer. "Then run away with me." She blinked. "What? Leave everything? Let's go somewhere they can't touch us." Her laugh was bitter. "Is this a drama to you? We're not in a movie, Kim Tan. I'm not joking. And I'm not running." Her voice trembled now. "You want the truth? Here it is. I'm scared. I'm scared of how much I feel for you. Because feelings don't pay rent. They don't protect me from what your mother's capable of." He looked at her, eyes burning. "Then what do we do?" She turned away. "I don't know." They stood in silence, the wind stealing the words they didn't say. Then, softly, "I wish I met you in another life," she whispered. He reached for her hand. She let him hold it. Just once. For 1 minute. For one truth. And then, she let go. That night, Tan returned to the estate and threw his phone into the fireplace. Lizzie walked home, eyes dry, heart hollow. But both of them knew. This wasn't the end. This was the warning before the storm. And storms always come. A mother's silence isn't peace, it's preparation for battle. The Kim estate was unusually quiet that morning. No staff rushing through the polished hallways. No calls echoing from the intercom. Just the crisp hum of tension thickening the air. Madame Yo Hai-ran, chairwoman of Daesang Group, sat at the head of the long dining table. Her breakfast untouched. Her eyes cold. Across from her, Kim Tan, wearing the same expression he'd worn at 17 when he was caught sneaking out of military school. This wasn't one of their usual battles. This was war. "Sit," she said. He Saturday. A maid silently poured tea and disappeared. Then, Hai-ran slid a sleek, black envelope across the table. He opened it. Inside, photos. Of Lizzie. Serving coffee. Laughing with customers. Walking home late at night. Holding his hand at Namsan Park. And then, the final image, someone had snapped them embracing, her head buried in his chest, his eyes shut in anguish. His heart sank. "You had me followed," he said. "No," she replied calmly. "I had her followed." Tan's fists clenched. Is this what you do now? Hire stalkers to photograph women I care about? She folded her arms. I do what's necessary when my son forgets what he was born into. Kim Tan rose slowly. Lizzie isn't a mistake. She's a threat. To what? He snapped. To your image. To the Daesang name. To you, she replied, voice rising. That girl will never survive our world. And I will not let you destroy yourself because of some fantasy in a coffee shop. He stared at her, the ache in his chest roaring now. You don't know her. I don't need to know her. I know her kind. The ones who smile sweetly while dragging empires into scandal. You forget, this world doesn't forgive women like her. She will be chewed and spat out. He stepped back, disgusted. She's not like that. Maybe not. But it doesn't matter. The world will see what it wants to see. And I'll be damned if it sees her next to my son. He turned away, but her next words stopped him cold. She's already been offered money to leave you. His pulse froze. She refused, his mother added. For now. The room went still. What? He whispered. Madame Yo reached for her tea. Calm again. She told the investigator, you can't buy what was never for sale. Very noble. Her eyes flicked up. But everything breaks eventually. Kim Tan stared at her, something inside him twisting. I love her. That's not enough. It has to be. Then prove it, she said. He looked at her, wary. She leaned in. Walk away from Daesang. From your inheritance. Your board seat. Your name. Start from scratch. If you truly want her, then burn the bridges behind you. He didn't answer. Because she knew what silence meant. You won't, she said softly. Because deep down, you're still my son. Still a Kim. And Kims don't give up power for poetry. He stormed out, heart thudding. Meanwhile, across town, Liz's world was also cracking. A strange envelope had appeared at her apartment door. Inside it, her work contract, suddenly terminated from Sura Cafe. No explanation. No warnings. And taped beneath the termination notice, a check. 50 million Korean wons. Her breath caught. She tore it in half. Then in quarters. Then again. Her hands trembled as she stared at the pieces. It had begun. That night, she texted Kim Tan, I lost my job. I know it's your mother. He didn't reply. He was in his room, staring at a contract that would transfer every Daesang asset in his name, away. All he had to do was sign it. And lose everything. Because love wasn't just a feeling now. It was a choice. And some choices cost everything. Some things don't end. They burn, and burn, and burn until you're forced to decide, run into the fire, or watch everything turn to ash. The contract was still on Kim Tan's desk when dawn broke. Unmoved. Unopened since midnight. Outside, the skies had opened, torrents of rain cascading over the city like grief with nowhere to go. But inside Tan's study, it was dry and still, almost cruel in its silence. His phone buzzed. A message from Lizzie. If this is how your world fights, I'm not strong enough to be in it. No heart emoji. No full stop. Just raw honesty. He clenched the phone until his knuckles whitened. How had it come to this? Just days ago, her laughter had been the song in his silence. Her voice, the only thing that cut through the cold walls of the Kim estate. And now, he was losing her. Meanwhile, Lizzie sat on the floor of her apartment, curled into the blanket he'd once left behind, the scent of his cologne long faded. Her suitcase sat open, clothes spilled beside it. She was packing. No destination. No plan. Just escape. Everything had unraveled faster than she could process. The job gone. The whispers growing. Strangers now lingered outside her building, clearly paid to watch. Even her landlord had started behaving differently, avoiding eye contact, warning her quietly, maybe you should leave before you're forced. That night, she stood at the Han River, the rain plastering her hair to her face. In her hand, the check pieces she hadn't thrown away. She'd kept them, not because she would ever use them, but as a reminder. That love, hers, wasn't for sale. One by one, she released the torn pieces into the wind. And behind her, a voice whispered, you should have taken the money. She turned. A woman stepped out of the shadows, black umbrella shielding her, designer heels clicking softly against the wet pavement. "Madam Yo, I came alone," she said. "No bodyguards. No photographers. Just truth." Lizzie didn't speak. The woman continued, voice ice-coated, "You're hurting him. He doesn't say it, but I see it. He doesn't sleep. He doesn't eat. And you're the reason." Lizzie's heart pounded. "I never asked for his love. But you took it. And now, you're the crack in his empire." Lizzie stepped forward. "I'm not afraid of you," she said, though her voice trembled. "You should be," Madam Yo replied. "Because I'm the only one standing between you and destruction. This isn't a love story, girl. It's a war. And love doesn't survive war, it drowns in it." And then she walked away, leaving Lizzie alone in the rain. Hours later, Kim Tan walked into her apartment, but she was gone. Everything stripped bare. Drawers empty. Walls hollow. Only the blanket remained, folded neatly on the bed, with a note tucked inside. "This isn't goodbye. This is survival." He stood there for minutes. Hours. He wasn't sure. And then, he lit the contract on fire. Watched it burn to nothing. If he couldn't protect her from his world, then he would leave that world behind. Across the city, in a cramped motel, Lizzie stared at the ceiling, tears sliding silently down her cheeks. Neither of them knew what the next step was. But both of them knew this. Love was no longer a gift. It was a battlefield. And they were both already bleeding. If love is a door, why does it take so much courage to knock? Why do some walk away when the handle is right there, waiting to be turned? Kim Tan hadn't eaten in 2 days. He sat alone in the dark of his penthouse, curtains drawn, lights off, the world outside still bustling, unaware that the Crown Prince of Daesang Group had vanished from the headlines. He had done it. He had walked out of the empire. His resignation was signed and submitted. The company board was in chaos. Reporters hovered outside the gates like crows circling a wounded lion. But Kim Tan had left the battlefield with nothing but silence, and a name still burning in his chest. Lizzie. And no one knew where she was. He had checked everywhere, the cafe, her old neighborhood, even the alley where they first met. Nothing. Her number was disconnected. Her social media erased. It was like she had vanished into the cracks of Seoul. But one thing lingered in his memory like a map etched into his bones. The tiny worn journal she once left behind in his car. A brown leather notebook filled with her dreams, her sketches, and an address on the inside cover. A place called Moonlight Shelter, a volunteer clinic for underprivileged families at the edge of Incheon. Without hesitation, Tan grabbed his coat and keys. The air in Incheon was different. Quieter. Softer. The kind of place where people waved at strangers and forgot their worries at the door. He walked into the humble clinic, his expensive shoes echoing off cracked tiles. And then he saw her. Lizzie. Hair tied back, hands covered in flour as she served meals in the communal kitchen. Her apron was stained, her face bare, but she was glowing in a way he hadn't seen before, peacefully, heartbreakingly beautiful. For a moment, he didn't move. He didn't speak. He just watched her from across the room, as though staring at a ghost he was afraid to touch. And then, "Are you going to stand there like a statue, or are you going to say something?" Her voice cut through the air like the sunrise through fog. He smiled. Tears welled up, unexpected, unguarded. "I thought I lost you." She placed the bowl down, wiped her hands on her apron, and stepped closer. "You did." He froze. "But," she added, voice softer, "I found myself. And when I did, I realized something." He looked at her, eyes pleading. "I don't want a love that's just kisses and promises. I want a love that fights. That chooses me, even when it hurts." Kim Tan stepped forward. His voice cracked. "I left it all behind. The company. The inheritance. Everything. I chose you." A pause. A heartbeat. Then she whispered, "Then come home." And just like that, he embraced her, tightly, desperately, as though she were the only thing that could keep his heart from collapsing. Weeks later, Seoul buzzed again. Not with scandal, but with surprise. A new cafe had opened in Itaewon. Sura Moments. Co-owned by a mysterious Nigerian woman and a former chaebol heir. Korean delicacies and African coffee blends, served side by side. No press release. No grand announcement. Just a handwritten sign outside. To all who've loved, lost, and loved again, you're welcome here. Madame Yo never returned to their lives. Daesang moved on without its golden sun. And Lizzie? She finally danced again, on rainy nights, in quiet kitchens, under starlight and whispered jazz. Because sometimes, love doesn't end in fire. It begins in it. And from the ashes, something beautiful grows. Some stories don't begin with once upon a time. They begin with pain, break with silence, and end with a whisper. I still choose you. The rain had returned to Seoul. Not the angry, slapping kind, but soft, like a quiet lullaby whispered to the windows. Inside Sura Moments, the cafe buzzed with warm chatter, the scent of jollof rice flirting with fresh bulgogi, laughter spilling like sunlight through its glass doors. Lizzie stood behind the counter, wrapping a red velvet cake in parchment. Her hands moved with purpose, her eyes soft, her smile steady, but her heart, it was racing. It had been exactly 1 year since she and Kim Tan had returned to the city together, not as scandal or secret, but as something even more dangerous in a world like theirs, truthful. Together. No lies. No masks. No corporate puppets. Just Lizzie Daniel, the daughter of a laundry woman from Lagos, and Kim Tan, the man who gave up a kingdom to build a corner of peace with her. Across the room, Mrs. Daniel, now affectionately called Mama Sura, sat folding napkins and fussing over the spice levels in the food. You call this stew, she grumbled, fanning her tongue dramatically. In Nigeria, this wouldn't even wake a chicken up. The customers laughed. The atmosphere was alive. Then, the bell above the door jingled. Lizzie looked up. Kim Tan stood there, wearing a white suit, his hair slightly damp from the rain, and a nervous smile on his face. In his hand, a ring box. The cafe fell into stunned silence. Kim Tan, Lizzie whispered, her heart already catching in her throat. He didn't speak. He walked toward her, slowly, deliberately, like the world had narrowed to this very moment, like every step was a vow. When he finally stood before her, he dropped to one knee. The gasps in the room melted into awe. I have no company shares, he began, no board seat, no title. What I have, is this life. My only life. And I want to spend it learning how to love you better every day. A pause. He opened the box. Inside, not a diamond. A simple gold ring, hand-forged, no designer name, just a small engraving inside that read, for the storm that made you bloom. Liz's breath caught. Her eyes welled. I didn't choose you because you were easy to love, Lizzie, he said. I chose you because you were impossible not to. She knelt with him. And then, through trembling lips, she whispered, yes. That night, they didn't throw a lavish party. They didn't post on Instagram. They didn't invite reporters or wear designer gowns. They danced. Barefoot, in the cafe, under the fairy lights and paper lanterns, with rain tapping gently on the windows and Fela Kuti humming from the record player. Months later, at their wedding in a small Korean garden overlooking the Han River, Mrs. Daniel wore a coral head wrap and cried so much she had to be fanned with a tray. Guests wore hanbok and ankara. Bibimbap was served with suya. And as the sun set behind the mountains, Kim Tan took Liz's hand and whispered, from coffee to rain, to forever. And this time, nothing, not class, not culture, not fear, could break the ring. Because it was forged in fire. And fire doesn't forget.